Welcome to Fertile Talks with Dr. Yemi Famuyiwa, a space where science meets the soul of fertility. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Montgomery Fertility Center, a unique concierge fertility practice in Rockville, Maryland. At Montgomery Fertility Center, we combine compassion with precision science to meet every individual's need. It is a place where you'll feel heard, supported, and truly cared for. If you're ready to begin your fertility journey or just need clarity on your next steps, give us a call at 301-946-6962 or visit us online at montgomeryfertilitycenter.com. And before we begin, I want to share something close to my heart. My upcoming book, The Quest for Fertility, coming spring of 2026. This is a must-read for anyone preparing for fertility, thinking about preserving it, or supporting someone on that path. What makes this book special is that it goes beyond the science. It's soulful, a story-driven exploration of real patients' journeys and how they found hope, healing, and strength through fertility challenges. If you'd like to join our Quest for Fertility support circle or get updates about the book's release, visit montgomeryfertilitycenter.com and send us an email. Now, let's dive into today's episode of Fertile Talks, where we'll explore the science, stories, and soul behind the journey to parenthood.
Podcast. Today, we welcome back Yemi Famuyiwa. She's a fertility specialist, and today's KevinMD article is How Timing Affects Chemical Exposure Risks. Yemi, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Always a pleasure.
All right. Tell us what your latest article is about.
So my article is about looking at toxins and their effect on the reproductive axis. That's always one of the popular things that I like to dig into for my patients. I'm always telling them about exposure. But then I took it a step further when I started reading other articles, and I realized that the toxins can also be more potent or less potent depending on when. And that came from other studies that I was, when I read my articles, I started reading about the differences in exposure of certain things that has to do with timing. That's the origin of that story.
All right. So when you talk about toxins, what exactly are we talking about?
We're talking about anything that's foreign to the body, right? So it'll be a xenobiotic. It's not man-made. So any chemical, specifically chemicals that are exposed, that the human body is exposed to, we know that some of these toxins like phthalates and BPAs and this one that is more popular right now is TPO, they're not natural to your body. The body doesn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
And we're talking about when your body comes into contact with this, either through what you do as a profession or what you put on your body, to look pretty and all, or what you're exposed to in your everyday life. How is that assimilated into your cells? How does your body detoxify you? And if it's not adequately removed or detoxified, what impact will it have on you, on your reproductive axis? I'm more into reproductive axis, but it has other effects body-wide.
So in your article, you say that the body's circadian rhythms
Correct.
change over 24 hours. So things like liver detoxification and skin permeability means it affects when the exposure is. So like if you're exposed to a toxin, say at like 8 p.m., it's different from being exposed at 8 a.m. Is that correct?
Right. So a lot of that observation came from studies. They started in animals, right? They started in animals in the animal kingdom, and they noticed that the animals may metabolize certain things. For instance, if you look at insects, not that humans are insects, right? And you spray insecticides, right? At a certain time of the night and day in their world, in the insect world, some of those sprays or chemicals are neutralized by the insects because their genes that metabolizes and breaks it down gets revved up at a certain time of the day. So if you spray them at that time, well, you might as well just spray water, right? Because they've lathered on super protection. And then at other times that gene is downregulated and the insecticide is more effective. Well, take that one step further. There was actually a study they did in Europe where they took a group of people and they had them go to the grocery store and buy the normal fruits that they normally eat in a day. Now, you're told to eat 4 or 5, servings of fruits or whatever, like I like oranges, apples, and stuff like that. So you buy the normal fruits that you normally buy. And what they did was say, buy it from the same store because they want to eliminate variability. But the only difference was you can consume those fruits, say, in the morning, right, between 8 and 10 a.m., or wait till 7 to 10 p.m. to consume them. Then they measured the urinary metabolites of residues of, insecticides that were sprayed on the fruits to protect them from insects. And they found out that the individuals that ate those fruits in the morning had very negligible, insecticide residue in their system. The ones that consumed theirs between 7 and 10 p.m. had higher residues. What's the difference? Just when they ate. Well, you take it one step further. When you look at this, has been evaluated by pharmaceutical companies. They call it chronopharmacodynamics, if you will. So they'll say, well, this medication, you need to take it in the morning. That medication, you need to take it in the evening. Why did they do that? They're looking at when that medication can be absorbed and utilized best. And they plan it over time because your liver that breaks down a lot of these chemicals, if you will, your CYP proteins, you would know what that is, right? And your glutathione transferases, the gene that regulates that is upregulated during the day. And in the evening, when you're supposed to be resting, your liver is not going to crank out those genes, right? So there's less biometabolism of those chemicals in the evening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the diurnal rhythm that your body already has. So when you plug on top of that, your exposure may be more potent at certain times of the day.
And especially with the reproductive system,
Absolutely.
hormonal surges is vulnerable to the circadian rhythms. And then sometimes when you're exposed to these toxins can have these unique effects on these hormonal rhythms.
Right. The most common one that most people may know about is like in Europe recently, they banned TPO, right? TPO.
So what is TPO?
It's a don't put me.
So what's it used for?
It's used to create gel for women when they do their gel fingernails.
Oh, the nails. Okay.
Yeah. So it helps the gel stick and last longer. It's not the only one. It's just one of the many that they can be used in the gel. And gels have been shown to be carcinogenic, right? So it was banned in Europe. They didn't ban gel per se. They just banned that key ingredient because they found it to be carcinogenic. There are other studies that have looked at individuals that work in nail salons, right? And then measure the exposure of some of these chemicals in this individual. So the nail salon workers, sometimes if they don't protect themselves, tend to have higher residue of some of these chemicals. And also some patients, if they freshly do their nails and they get tested, you may have some of this residue. So should you stop doing gel? I mean, try to avoid the TPO and you can ask if they have TPO in them. And that's one thing. Number two, your skin is more permeable to absorbing chemicals later on during the day, right? You can measure skin permeability. So, maybe that might make you change when you go get your nails done. Maybe you might want to get it earlier in the day. Or maybe you might ask if they have, a air cleaner venting system so that most of these chemicals are vented away from you. But knowing what to do, and that's why I wrote that blog, being aware of these chemicals, being aware that their effects may be more potent at different times of a day, well, then that just gives you power of choice.
Yeah.
right? And then you have the conscious choice to make certain changes to protect yourself.
So is this advice that you share with patients,
I
people who are trying to get pregnant? If they decide to
I
do their nails, you suggest that maybe they could do it earlier in the day because their
yeah.
skin is less permeable during that time?
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of counseling for my patients. When I see a new patient, I run through all the chemical exposures they could go through. So most of my initial consultation is just sharing with them what could be affecting them. For instance, we know that, some patients may have, poor egg quality, or, in nowadays I'm seeing men with very bad sperm quality. So I try to run through with them things in their environment that, they're low hanging fruits
Hmm.
that you could try to make a change in your lifestyle. Will it translate directly into more births? I don't know. But when you know something can affect your system, and when you know it's a foreign tissue body anyway, and it does, can get absorbed, well, that's just a low hanging fruit that you can try to make changes in.
So what other fertility related advice do you give as it relates to timing of potential exposure to toxins?
Oh, I go into more detail than just chemicals. So I think we had this in one of your episodes before. I do talk about the recent evidence that shows that microplastics
Hmm.
absorbed into human placenta. They found it in sperm, in testicular tissue. So then I tell them, well, that's easy. Try not to heat warm food out of plastic,
Hmm.
because when you do, you are eating some plastic with your food, right? Hot beverages use either glass or steel. So, and then for my gentlemen, we do know also that heat has an effect on sperm. So, well, then try to avoid concerted heat around your waist, especially if you know that you're going to be trying to conceive with your partner anytime soon.
Now, how about nail salon workers themselves? I'm going to assume that many nail salon
Yes,
workers are
yes,
women.
yes,
And what kind of advice do you have for them who work in a nail salon
right,
as it
right.
relates to their fertility?
Yeah. So number one, is the location well vented?
Yeah.
Are they wearing a mask, right? Protect themselves if they have to be exposed to these chemicals. Do they wear skin protective gloves? Make sure their mask is on. Make sure their salon is, well aerated and vented. And if it's not, then maybe talk to whoever owns the salon and say, hey, listen, I heard this thing, I was reading this news. Maybe we need to air this place out better. You can get, during COVID, everybody bought those air
Sure.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of them nowadays are almost medical grade, and they have activated charcoal in there that can take volatile organic chemicals and clean it up. So for my patients that have to work in that environment, I think knowledge is power, and doing just minor things to protect themselves.
As far as you know, are there any studies that kind of show the fertility rates as opposed to as it relates to the timing and circadian rhythm of the
No.
exposure to potential toxins?
No, not timing. I have read a lot of articles with exposure in nail salon workers showing decreased fertility rate. I have read a lot about most of the studies right now is this they're looking at almost observational. Let's look at this thing, and the one I quoted you was a study where they just said, "Oh wow, we found that these chemicals lingered based on timing." Now, it would be interesting to take it one step further, and
Hmm.
I would imagine that would be very expensive to do, because you're talking about a population study to say we're going to have, 1,000 people who are exposed in the morning, and then compare it to another 1,000 or more exposed in the evening. That would be interesting to see, but has not been done yet. But I would think that would be the next extrapolation.
We're talking to Yemi Famuyiwa, fertility specialist. Today's KevinMD article is How Timing Affects Chemical Exposure Risks. Yemi, let's end with some take-home messages that you want to leave with the KevinMD audience.
Take home message: knowledge is power, right? So if you can't avoid it, maybe consider when you're exposed to certain things.
Yemi, again, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and insight. Thanks again for coming back on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated and is going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famuyiwa.